Well, I just did a video about The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Nintendo, and the entitlement of Western content creators. And in my video, I pointed out RGT85 in particular because he had a video that was just too perfect. It was everything that I absolutely hate about Western content creators and the way they approach these entertainment brands. So Nintendo pays millions and millions of dollars to make an ad, and you've got these. No offense, but you've got these nobody content creators. It's like 500,000 subscribers is huge, but ultimately to Nintendo, it's nothing. So you've got these guys that upload these bootleg leaked commercials, and they do all this voodoo. They like gray it out and they distort it because they don't want to get copyright claimed. So the first time that people are seeing these Nintendo commercials that they pay millions of dollars for is in the worst possible way. And people are like, no, I have fair use to do this. I can totally do this. Nintendo has gone out of control. It's like if I were Nintendo, I'm like, I just paid a couple $1 million for this ad. And this guy is on his YouTube channel broadcasting this out, which is then being picked up and repeated by other channels that are doing something similar, and it's going online, it's being interpreted. If I were Nintendo, I'd be pissed too, and so would you. You would absolutely be pissed. There's no question about it. They're like, okay, we've got this ad. We just spent a bunch of money. We've got this time slot that we want to do it. It's in this part of the day, this time of day, we have our analysts that say this is the best time to do it. We're going to release the ad at this time. And you've got people that are just like, well, we don't care. We should have the right to go over it whenever we want, however we want. And if Nintendo complains, then they're a terrible company that's anti-consumer. And people like Moist Critical will make videos saying, hey guys, Critical here. Nintendo is one of the most evil companies that ever exist. You can't have fun with one of these games unless you get a written letter of permission from the legal team of Nintendo. It's like all of this stuff is based around the fact that you have content creators in the West that want to be able to do whatever they want to do and not ask permission. And really, it goes to the entitlement here. And that's sort of my issue. So I did a whole video on that. If you want to watch it, I would definitely suggested I go through a lot of different things, but that's my take on this. A company is spending millions of dollars on an ad, at least have the goodwill to not upload a bootlegged, grayed out, chopped up version that you're introducing to people, starting and stopping it, and it's just like, oh my god. As an advertising guy, it's pretty torturous, but today we're going to be looking at more Tears of the Kingdom news because there is just always more news. The game is going to come out and people are still going to find a way to say, like, well, we have more leaks, more news about Tears of the Kingdom. It's very, very fascinating to me. So we have a YouTube channel, Nintendo Switch Force. Tears of the Kingdom real copy leaked, what you need to know. I think this is interesting because if it's true that there's a copy that leaked, it just reinforces why Nintendo's approach is the correct one. Because here's the position that I would rather be in. Somebody gets a copy of the game early, all right? You're a company that's more laissez-faire. You're like, whatever. Hey, what's gonna happen is gonna happen. We like to let people, make mods and do stuff and play things early. We're laid back, man. I would much rather be the opposite. I'd much rather be in Nintendo's position, saying, okay, we may not be able to stop you from playing this game early and leaking the information. But by God, if it takes me the rest of my goddamn life, I'm going to track you down and you are going to go to jail and you are going to spend the rest of your life in servitude to fucking Nintendo. I would rather people be in mortal fear of leaking the game early than just this attitude of, whatever happens, happens. So I actually agree with Nintendo's strong arming because the truth is, I don't want the game spoiled. And you know what? A lot of other people don't as well. There are some people that do. They're like, I don't care. I don't care about this. I'd rather be able to ruin it for other people. But I tell you what, if somebody leaks this game, if somebody leaks this game, God help them. Because Nintendo sure as hell won't.
Eyeballs, noses, and big toes. Because it's really, really out there this time. It's all over. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom has really leaked, and this is, Not even May. It's April 29th. We are about 13 days from launch, and I gotta go over the two different leaks that happened in two totally different places, two totally different kinds of the game, I guess, as well as some updates to what's going on with the file size change that's been reported, and with a little bit on multiplayer. So what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from Switchforce. I see you looking at my ears. Now, this is exciting and exasperating all at the same time. I'd love to know if you think it's more exciting or worrisome, like frustrating or happy. Let me know in the comments down below.
Frustrating.
Hit that like button if you're ready for Tears of the Kingdom and you want to be one of the people that get to be as lucky as these people. First, I want to start off with something that...
It's frustrating because of the position. So I want you to imagine this real quick. Imagine you have somebody that wants to cause a lot of problems. Maybe they hate Nintendo. Maybe they don't like them. They can verify that they have a copy of the game. They can verify that they're playing the game. They can go a great length in showing, I've got this game, this is it, I can prove it. But then they just start lying about the game to make it seem worse so that people get angry online. Now, it's like, so that for me would be the worst of all worlds. Because not only is the game getting leaked, but you have people that are intentionally trying to damage Nintendo and this game. And it really wouldn't be that hard to do. All you'd have to do is verify that you have the game. You can show certain portions. You can upload it online. And then you go out there and you say, and here's the story element. It's like you can make it believable enough by sprinkling in a little bit of truth, but then changing things and altering things in a way that makes it just seem absolutely terrible. Like all of the story elements, that we saw in the trailer, that's pretty much it for the story in the game. There's not really much else. It's all just mechanics. It's all, building things. There's not really much of a coherent story. There are different ways that you could absolutely damage this game before launch. And people would have to wait 2 weeks to find out if it's true. So absolutely, it is frustrating. It is obnoxious. And that is why companies like Nintendo fight so hard to keep leaks away from the population, because who knows what somebody could do. And this is a game that's going to make them a lot of money, hopefully. But they don't want bad PR before the game. It's like they don't want these big time content creators spreading this stuff out there. All it takes is one lie that's convincing enough, and people in the West will absolutely spread it like a virus. It's just, yeah.
We had a lot of, leaks of the game, like people posting a screenshot of their Switch home screen with the icon. Very easy to fake. And, they seem like, they could be legit. People were saying, I've confirmed it's legit. And they turned out to not be legit. It turned out to be some sort of Photoshop trickery and not the actual game. Then last night we had a collector's edition for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom in a big box. Now this sounded very likely to be real, but what was interesting is they didn't open it up, they didn't show the game, they didn't show the cartridge, they didn't show any of it. They just showed the shipping box and then the collector's edition in there. Now I have some theories on what they could have been doing, but it also could have been fake. There's plenty of ways to 3D print, replicate boxes and covers and cases and things of that sort, and they didn't show anything. Now the best guess of why they didn't is this is just a person who's stocking Walmart or GameStop or something like that. Retailers got in their collector's edition and the dude is like, whoa, click a picture of the collector's edition in the box. Therefore, that would not really be a leak. That would be more of just like, wow, the game has been shipped. But what we have here is actually legitimate.
No. Well, it depends. So if all right, for example, if Nintendo threw in a surprise, so it's like you got the collector's edition, but they threw in something special as like a thank you to their customers, if they did something like that, then somebody taking a picture of it would absolutely be a leak, as well as verifying that it's shipped. So it could be both. I don't know if this is, but either way, yeah, don't do it. Don't. I understand why people do it. You've got someone working at a Walmart, probably for minimum wage, and they're like, I'm going to be the hero. I'm just going to be the coolest guy for like 15 minutes. I'll take this and upload it, and people will, congratulate me and stuff. It's not worth potentially risking your job. It's just not worth it. In my opinion, it's just not worth it. People will come to discover the stuff in time. And really, that I don't want to go on too much of a tangent, but people in the West have a problem with patience. They absolutely cannot wait for something. And I don't mean like, oh, I can't wait for this. No, they actually can't wait. There's something deeply wrong with the psyche of so many people. They're like, I need it now. I can't wait. It's like patience. Patience is a virtue for a reason. You're going to enjoy the game. But every time you nickel and dime yourself with a little bit of leaked information, you rob yourself of something from the game. Like the art book. Nintendo is never going to release the art book. I'm not just talking about like the commercial. That art book. If you sell things in that art book, you were exposed to things that other people haven't seen. You've spoiled a lot of it for yourself, and some people don't care, but at the end, I think it's going to affect your overall enjoyment of the game.
Fully 100% a leak because, ta-da, that's the game. That is the game. That is not a slipcover. That is not a GameStop cover. That is the game at somebody's house. That is the game.
How?
There's the back of the box, and if you look closely, I don't want to, kind of do overt spoilers, but if you look closely, there are scenes on the back of the box that have not been publicly shown. This is legit. It's all over now. The game is out there. Did they show the cartridge? At least one person in the whole wide kingdom of Hyrule is playing Tears of the Kingdom. At least one person has it, and when there's one,
did they show the cartridge?
Two, there's usually 5. This is only going to expand exponentially. What does that mean for you? It means, well, get ready for everything and anything to be...
Can't go? Do this to clear out stuck poop fast.
What the fuck?
Fiber helps you poop,
What?
right? Nope.
Oh my god.
This means that on Reddit forums, on Twitter posts, even in YouTube videos, you're going to start seeing story spoilers. You're going to start seeing gameplay spoilers. You're going to start seeing dungeon reveals. You're going to start seeing all sorts of things about if shrines are in, if dungeons are in, if this character's in, if the Minish factor in. All of that is going to be spoiled. And I'm very confident unless Nintendo executes a super crazy, crucial, last-minute ninja strike, the whole game will be leaked before it's released. Now that part is sad to me because Nintendo has done everything in their power to keep this a very controlled and very mysterious launch, and I've gone on record saying I think that's awesome. So there's a part of me that's excited that wow, we are so close it's leaking, and then there's a part of me that's really like, this is not good, spoilers are going to be out there, and the entire plan that Nintendo made is going to be burst open. Now, you can avoid it. You can do your best to set up your, like, blocked words. You can, just shut off your cell phone for the next 13 days. But there's also a chance that you accidentally stumble into something you didn't want to see. I understand that for most people, a spoiler or two won't ruin the experience, but I do also understand saying, like, wow, this is ridiculous. Most games leak, but, a couple days before. This, we're not even in the month of release. We're 2 weeks before launch, and it's out there. And I 100,000 million trillion % believe that this is a real copy. There is zero part of this photo that is faked, doctored, changed anything, and the rest of the internet seems to agree. This is legit. It's out there. Now, how fast does it spread? I guess it really depends on the person. They could decide that, hey, I'm going to just enjoy it for myself. And, like, if we think about it, put yourself in this person's shoes. You get Tears of the Kingdom, however you get it. It falls from the sky. It ascends from the underground. I don't know. Somehow, miraculously, luckily, without any illicit doings, you acquire this game. Don't you just play it yourself? Like, what is the benefit of just spreading it around except to flaunt in people's faces and to be obnoxious? I don't know.
Let me tell you something. If I got a copy of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, I would play it myself. I would do a video saying that I got a copy only to emphasize the point that there is no chance on God's green earth, there is through hell or high water, there is not a goddamn chance that I would spoil a single solitary fucking second. I'd be like, yes, I have this game. I can prove it with the front cover and stuff and the cartridge itself. But if you're here for spoilers, if you want me to spoil the game, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm not spoiling a fucking thing. Not even one syllable. Not even something that you've seen already in the trailer, because what you're dealing with there is the difference between somebody like myself that isn't looking to ruin Nintendo, isn't looking to ruin the game, and understands what this means for so many people. I wouldn't leak a fucking word. Not a single word. I'd be like, I have the game. Here's the front cover. Here's the cartridge. I do have it. That's it. I'm going to play it myself and enjoy it. That's it. Nothing else. Not a word. Not a peep. Not a screenshot. Nothing. That's how I would handle it. I'd be like, yeah, I have this early. Really excited for it. Not a single fucking word will leave my lips. I will play this game once or twice, 3 times before everyone else gets it. Not a peep. Not a fucking word. Because I respect people's passion and enthusiasm too much to put them through that. Because that's just a shitty thing to do. For no reason.
I got this. I would just play it.
Yeah.
And smile. And know that I'm having an experience that is preceding other people's experience, but I'm not going to ruin it for them.
Yeah.
Anyhow, you're going to have to be really careful.
Amen,
I'm going to
brother.
have to be really careful. I, as much as you, don't want to be spoiled. I don't want to know about dungeons. I don't want to know about shrines. I don't want to know about story. I cover the news. I cover leaks. But I'm going to have to try and separate my brain and be very judicious now that we know the game is out there. The other thing that I want to talk about here is we've got a confirmation that there's no multiplayer. You might think that this is stupid because we kind of assume there would be no multiplayer, but there still are people around the internet talking about how multiplayer could still be in it. What if it's a secret? And there's different...
Got a technical background? Looking to go remote and get paid more? Become a
photos that confirm this. This one's from...
There's no multiplayer. I'm just here to break it to you. There's no multiplayer.
Target showing no multiplayer in the game. So once and for all, you will not be co-oping with Zelda. Once and for all, there is no multiplayer mode. Once and for all, whatever NPC battles we were witnessing in the trailer, they're just what they are, NPC battles. Now, the third piece of news that I want to discuss with you, and for some it'll be the most interesting, is what the heck happened to 2 gigabytes? What am I talking about here? Well, this was posted on Reddit and then followed up by a video by RGT, famous Nintendo YouTuber, where he talked about how a month ago on Nintendo's website, it said that the file size for Tears of the Kingdom was 18.2 gigabytes. 18.2. Now that's odd because it's more than we're used to from Nintendo games. They usually compress them very well. It's odd because it's more than 16. Why 16? Well, 16 is a 16 gigabyte cartridge, and that's what Nintendo uses to house their titles. So this seemed very odd, and some people were even using it as a pseudo justification for why Nintendo had to charge $70. I never, ever, ever thought that that was the reason. A bigger cartridge, more gigabytes, whatever. That never, ever, ever occurred to me as the reason for why they charge more. The reason for why they charge more is because other companies are doing it, and Nintendo doesn't want their games to be viewed as less than, and they also don't view their games as less than. They're making the most anticipated game of the entire year, maybe of the generation. Why would they charge less? It's a selfish, greedy move, but that's what it is. It isn't to account for, oh, this game is huge, or oh, this game took all of our best people extra hours, or oh, this game's on a bigger cartridge. No. But what's weird about this is what happens next. Because today, if you go on Nintendo's website or you go on your eShop via your Switch, you will see that Tears of the Kingdom is 15.9 or 16 gigabytes. Somehow it crams just perfectly into the cartridge. Now, people like RGT are hypothesizing that there's some sort of conspiracy here, that Nintendo did a bait and switch to potentially say, hey, look, it's on a bigger cartridge, that's why we have to charge more. Or that there was some sort of other potentially nefarious reason for why they did this. Like, the belief is that no way could they shrink and cut off 2.3 gigabytes in a month. But I'm not sure that's so true. I think given compression, perhaps there is a chance that they did reduce the file size. Now, you could argue that maybe it was just a typo, but I don't think you type 18.2 on your biggest game release of the year when you really mean 15.9. Was Nintendo maliciously trying to mislead people? I don't believe that either, because I didn't even really see much groundswell around the idea that the bigger cartridge was the reason for 70. I think everyone knows that it's not a bigger disc that is why Sony charges 70. It's that there's ballooning development costs, and I guess a cartridge is part of the cost, but Nintendo absolutely is not doing that. Nintendo is absolutely just matching their competitors because they feel like their game is as exciting, has just as much value, and is just as anticipated, and they know their consumers will pay it. It's just kind of like a basic greedy business move.
It's not greedy. It's smart business. It's not greed. So if the market wasn't doing this, if you had it where, PlayStation and Xbox were releasing games at $59.95, Tears of the Kingdom would be $59.95. Nintendo is simply saying, we think this game is at the upper echelon of gaming, whatever the hardware is, whatever you feel about that. This game is the peak of the industry. We think we have the best performance in terms of like what we can offer, so it's $70. But if other companies were charging $60, they'd be charging $60. It's not greed, it's good business. You match the market. Nintendo's not going to be the first one to do it.
Do question why the file size shrinkage and what did happen, because most likely Tears of the Kingdom would have been gold a month ago. You'd think they would have already been printing, and so reducing that file size at the last second does seem very odd. I don't really have a big theory or a big explanation for what happened, but I think it's something interesting to pay attention to. One other theory being tossed out around there is that Nintendo cut content last minute from the game. If they did, and I do not believe they did, if they did, that would be the biggest gut punch I've ever seen a company unleash. Less than a month before launch, for your most loyal fans that have made you the industry leader with 130 million units sold, and you cut content the last month. It seems like it would be way too difficult and way too freaky, and it would really just switch out their plans of what the base game was, what the DLC will be, the cartridges they ordered. I don't know. I have no idea what went on here. I have no idea if it's a clerical error, if it's a mistake, if they really did compress more, if they're using some other type of cartridge we don't even really know about. I don't know, but I do want you to know that it is true that a month ago it said 18.2 gigabytes. And today it says 15.9 or 16, which is still a huge file size, still going to be a massive game, still going to be absolutely incredible and awe-inspiring with its creativity and exploration. But it's freaking weird. So,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's a number of things that could be, but who cares? I don't. I'm not even going to speculate. I don't give a shit. So yeah, we just watched that. Yeah. New Island.
Peter Pan?
If you think you know the story,
I always envisioned you as being taller. No, smaller actually.
think again.
Oh my god. I Tinkerbell, huh? Well, you've been vacationing in the Caribbean or Florida. You know what's so hilarious about things like this? Not to get too distracted, but it's like when they do a race swap like this, most of the time I care because it's such a lazy and just utterly pathetic attempt to try to make something new without putting in any actual work. But you notice that they don't actually put in any effort. It's like she's not blonde, she doesn't have blue eyes, they're too afraid to do anything. She doesn't have like any unique look. Let me ask you, if you just saw her, would you think Tinkerbell? No, you wouldn't. It's just marketing 101. Use the assets that you have to sell more content. If you want to make her black, you got to turn her hair blonde, you got to give her blue eyes. Simple as that. Otherwise, it's not Tinkerbell. It's just another thing.
I can fly!
Disney invites you to discover the magic
Neverland!
of a new adventure.
Peter! Hook wasn't always Hook.
Just like old times.
All your times are old, Captain.
Hello there, Commonwealth Rum here, and after Bergsala Nintendo Nordics invited me to preview the game, this is how I think we'll conquer the Sky Islands and reconquer the land of Hyrule, all without going the boundaries of the embargo. So be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell as we're now pushing 2023 likes on this video and 333,333 subscribers by May 12th for another giveaway. First Switch OLED winner? Call May. Congratulations. Nintendo and the Zelda team have made it clear that Tears of the Kingdom starts on what we now know as the Great Sky Island. May I say, a very creative name from the Great Plateau. Joking aside, this is probably based on numerous theories, and that seems to be the case with most of the Sky Islands across Hyrule's 8 provinces. But there's also a different detail that is very key, namely that the Sky Island groups are separated by huge distances between the provinces, pointing at one additional thing. The Zonai took the land they saw as the most precious up into the sky and left the rest, or ruins, on the surface. And up here in the sky is where we find the most desired locations, not counting the underground areas naturally. So how does Nintendo get us away from this territory back to the surface? By making the distances of the Sky Islands in other provinces too far away from the one we are currently on, even when using different vehicle builds, especially early on in the game, and it's also the reason why the Zonai bird glider, and even when turning it into a plane, disintegrates before getting to those islands. As these distances, both horizontally and vertically, are deliberate and all aimed at one developer goal: to force the player to complete a particular sky province, which might be even more fragmented than Hyrule's 8 provinces, or maybe not, as we have after all up to 8 batteries on our new Zonai device. Nevertheless, they want us to return back to the province that we just entered, do more main or side activities there, and then think, how do I get to the next collection of Sky Islands from the surface? I think this is how we will go from Great Sky Island, our beginning, where upon gaining the ability to leave the starting location, we skydive our way down to the surface near the Great Plateau, just like producer Eiji Aonuma did in March. But what is next? The islands that I had the pleasure to preview, or South Hyrule Sky Archipelago, right above South Central Hyrule. But from here, it is too far to the next collection of Sky Islands, so you once again need to go back down to the surface and use a vehicle or Epona to traverse to the next province. One route from here leads across the bridge of Hylia, where Flame Gleeok awaits, so perhaps it no longer is the optimal path to Faron, which the Zelda team has been guarding heavily along with 2 other provinces of eastern Hyrule, Akala, which we saw barely in the shot in February, and Lanayru, which we have only seen above from the sky. Most likely due to the substance leaking down from the Sky Islands, and potentially this Gyork. Below that, the Zelda team are also probably hiding new NPCs who have moved in or reappeared during this timescale, including many changes and distractions to structures and geography. We can also add the underground sections to that equation as seen with the Faron Cave in the title reveal trailer in
awesome.
September. Well, that and the numerous ways of reaching these provinces' Sky Islands. As what we're witness to here is a game that will take much longer to complete. Scratch that, beat than Breath of the Wild, which sits at around 50 hours to beat on howlongtobeat.com. But I have a feeling that Tears of the Kingdom for the average player to beat, that is to say the main story with potentially the true ending on your first playthrough, could easily turn into 100. And there is no way to ignore the sky since key items and other challenges are located here. Though there's a different reason why thorough sky exploration is required, as we need Zonai charges from defeated Zonai soldier constructs who are primarily on the Sky Islands, all to exchange them at the Sky Zonai Gachapon machines. Dispensers that allow us to gain new Zonai items, which again are required to engineer Ultra Hand vehicles. Well, that and certain fusions. Rocket, fan, flame emitter, and most of all steering stick are all tied to this mechanic. Some parts will be found hidden on the surface, but most will be on the Sky Islands, and building with these is required to get to the Sky Islands in other ways than recalling rocks and potentially some other methods. All of this has been teased in the February and final trailers, but the first tease came with our new favorite bird with the title reveal trailer last September. It was there all along, and the final trailer did not only point out this rule of the game, but more importantly, that we cannot only stay on the Sky Islands, we need to combine to progress and grow. And it can be traced to this opening shot right here, which reveals our preview area, but also a lot about the nature of the Sky Islands. Namely, that they are, like we have already pointed out, provincial. What does that mean? That all of them are not connected through much of the game, or reachable with flying machines from a different province, since batteries run out faster when not only going horizontally, but ascending vertically. So, say that we want to get to the Sky Islands of another province, in this particular case, Faron. Then we need to go down to the surface, face Gleeok, and then make our way up from around the Zonai ruins. In other words, we'll be making our way from the surface up to the next Sky Islands constantly after finishing the opening on the Great Sky Island, not the other way around. The final trailer actually told us exactly what order we'll play throughout its glorious 3 minutes and 56 seconds. Because what do we see? Start on Great Sky Island, but then make our way towards the surface. And what do we pass on our way down there? The preview islands. We then land on the surface and stay there for a little while before our first tease of underground. Then back to the surface, underground, then to the sky. Then surface and underground again. Surface underground, surface sky with preview area and Zonai bird, more sky, then surface, sky, surface, sky, underground, surface, sky, surface, underground, surface, underground, surface, sky, surface, underground, surface, sky, underground, and surface to conclude. This insane back and forth right here is the likely key to understanding our progression in Tears of the Kingdom. But why so much surface? Since it is the connection, the middle layer between sky and underground. Here we find all the entrances underground, the fallen sky rocks to recall back up, and nearly all dedicated vehicle building stations. Either to go horizontally with a truck or tank, or get up vertically, and if done well enough, up to the local Sky Islands. But why only local? Since there's no place to land to reload our batteries between these Sky Islands above central Hyrule and these in safe Faron. But why? As each collection of Sky Islands is tied to each specific province, meaning that each province will have its unique set of Sky Islands themed on the distant past and potentially vegetation and climate of said region, at least to a certain degree, as I don't think tropical palm trees can survive this high up. Instead, I think we'll find new architectural marvels like seen in the case of the Zora Islands above Lanayru, radically different from the one seen above central Hyrule, and likely Eldin and Gerudo. Let me say it straight out, we have been ignoring how connected the islands above are to the land below, as the central sky archipelago is flat, just like Hyrule Field below. And thanks to Luigi, we know that the Sky Islands ended up floating sometime in the distant past, but originated on the surface. Just like Skyloft was sent up to the sky to shelter humanity from demise, so it seems that these Sky Islands were sent up from each province to keep something safe from Ganondorf, following what might have been his potential conquest of the Great Plateau on the surface in the past. Chunks of land from 8 provinces, but then split up into smaller sky provinces above the cloud barrier. No doubt, the confirmed upheaval has caused loss, or more precisely alteration, of territory on the surface that we love, but also plenty of added territory both in the sky and on the ground. And most importantly, it all ties together. The underground section below and the Sky Islands above, not being fully connected with each other, both when it comes to the layers, but also when it comes to different parts of underground and Sky Islands. Instead, they're only connected with its particular surface province. In other words, we have smaller unconnected open world maps above and below the surface, but the surface is still the central core dictating it all, allowing for interprovincial exploration, since you cannot go to the next section of underground or Sky Islands without returning back to the surface. And yes, that means that we might also have Zora and Gerudo themed underground areas, just like Goro, unless there are no Sky Islands above Eldin, just a massive underground area. Anyway, I present this point of view after covering all 8 provinces in the build-up to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom's releases, across more than 16 episodes of Zelda Unknown and Inside Breath of the Wild 2 Tears of the Kingdom, where we went over all of them, including the sky in both.
That's very interesting. That's very, very interesting indeed. Well, I'm looking forward to this game. It's super exciting. You know, it's just by far my most anticipated game probably ever. I can't think of a game that I was this hype about. Maybe Breath of the Wild, but it's I can't wait for this. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.